Hello and welcome to another episode of Kids Allergy Network. I'm Tate.
I'm Mateo.
I'm Henry.
And our guests here today are...
I'm Milo.
I'm Eli.
Let's kick things off. Do you mind giving us a little rundown of the allergies that you guys have?
I'm both lactose intolerant and allergic to the flu shot.
I'm allergic to tree nuts.
Just tree nuts. Okay.
Alrighty, so I'm also lactose intolerant. So how does lactose intolerance affect you?
It definitely makes me watch what I'm gonna eat, and especially if I have stuff later in the day, I don't want my stomach all screwed up, you know. Yeah.
What, how do you feel whenever you,
When I get lactose
Yeah.
intolerance, I get gassy.
Ooh,
Yeah, and
gassy.
then also stomach aches. And
Do you
things that.
take what's it called, lactate?
Yeah,
Before?
yeah. So I try to take that with foods I eat before, and it really helps.
It does.
Yeah,
Have you found
completely?
most of the time, yeah.
Have you found more success with the pills or the chewables? Because I love the chewables.
I personally hate the chewables.
Oh, wow.
They don't mix well with the food, you know. But
Yeah,
if
they
I
can
can just
taste a little
swallow
weird, yeah.
the pills really quickly, it works well.
That's true. I wanted to ask you, when you take that lactate, how long does it last usually? Like can you eat just all day? Does it last all day, or is it just one meal?
Usually, if I take 2 for a meal, and then I'm eating something way later, I'll usually take one more for that. Especially if it's hours and hours after.
And has your lactose intolerance evolved over time? Because I know some people when they're first born, they're not born with it and it just develops.
I think for me, it's gotten somewhat better, but then also if I stop eating lots of dairy or like lactate things, it starts to make it worse. So you gotta build a tolerance as well. So I think as you get older, it gets better, but also you need to still practice eating things that you're lactose intolerant to.
Milo, how has nuts affected your life? And what nuts specifically?
There are some tree nuts. I can eat pistachios. I can eat almonds. I can eat, and I'm good with peanuts and everything. Mostly, I've never had I've obviously had allergic reactions. Never had to use my EpiPen, and it's never gotten so serious that I had to go to the ER. So for me, it's more I'm very very cautious, especially going to foreign countries, because a lot of the times you don't know what's in the food. Mateo and I travel a lot for karate, so yeah, a lot of it's mostly just being cautious, and yeah, it really does you don't think about it once you're used to it, but you do end up looking at food labels a lot more than you think and stuff like that.
And when did you first find out about this allergy?
At first, I remember my mom has told me the story. I was really young, and it was they made me a birthday cake, and I got an allergic reaction, and she thought it was strawberries or something. So I feel for the first I remember not eating strawberries. But then we finally decided to get me tested because I think I had another allergic reaction, and we found out that it was tree nuts. But something crazy, my mom would make not trail mix, but or pretty much trail mix,
Yeah.
and I would be eating it, and I hated it. I remember it was a really minor, it would just make my throat really itchy, so I would only eat one handful of it.
Yeah.
And I would always tell her it was so good, and then we found out I was allergic to the stuff in it, and my mom felt
Wow.
so bad.
Eli, I wanted to ask you, do you get the flu every year since you can't get the vaccine?
Yeah, so since I found out I was allergic to the flu shot, so 2 years in a row I would get it, and my whole arm would swell up. And then ever since then, I stopped getting it, even though I probably should try the nasal spray.
Oh, you've never tried it?
I haven't gotten the nasal spray. But for the past 2 years, I've gotten the flu both years, which definitely is because of that. And it's terrible.
What happens?
When I get the flu,
Yeah.
it's just been I had over a 103 fever. I'm just throwing up. It's
I see.
really bad.
And how severe is the reaction? I'm sorry, I'll let you speak that.
To the flu shot?
Yeah.
It's pretty bad. My whole arm gets twice the size, and just red, and I can't do much with it, and it'll last maybe a day.
So since you're allergic to the vaccine, and the vaccine is just, if I'm right, it's just dead flu. Isn't it just the dead flu that it puts in you to build up your immune system? Are you allergic
think
to the
part-
actual flu virus?
I think part of it is my body overreacts to the actual the the flu that they're putting in there, my body like way overcompensates for it. I'm not exactly sure why it's different from actually getting the flu or just the shot, but in that specific spot, it like overreacts a lot.
So are you like cautious when you're getting new vaccines, or like how do you kind of approach a new vaccine?
Yeah, I think like for the COVID vaccine, for example, I had that in mind. Like it was like maybe possible the same thing happens, but because of what the doctors told me, like that it's specifically an overreaction to that kind of vaccine, I wasn't too worried about it. And then as I've gotten like more and more, the same thing hasn't happened.
And Milo, I know you said you hadn't had to use your EpiPen at all, but what other precautionary measures did you take?
Honestly, I feel like as I've gotten older, I've kind of became like a little bit more like careless. Like I've definitely like, especially traveling, like I mentioned this before, like in like Mexico, like 2 years ago I think, in Mexico, I saw some like white rice like with some stuff in it, and like obviously like in America like you never see white rice with like nuts in it, but I guess it had like pecans or something. I had like a little allergic reaction, so that kind of like put me back on track for just looking. And even if I don't see like a label for something has nuts, especially like desserts and stuff, I still won't. I generally still won't eat it.
So how do you guys navigate social situations and dining out as someone with dietary restrictions?
Sometimes, a lot of the time, I won't even ask. Like if we're at a restaurant and they bring out like a dessert with like nuts in it, I won't even ask like for a another like alternative.
Yeah.
I feel like it's not that bad for me. I see myself doing it a lot, and I really just don't feel like asking. It's not really that big of a deal for me in social situations, I think.
Yeah, for me, like at restaurants and stuff, I usually don't ask either. I think sometimes if I know ahead of time it's gonna affect me, I sometimes will bring like the pills, the lactate pills. But otherwise, I kind of just have to deal with the consequences.
And my family like looks out for me too. Like they never really order things with nuts, and especially a lot of my friends have allergies as well, so it's usually pretty good.
I have a question for Milo. Why have you not tried getting, like, I know you can get treatment to get desensitized to the things that you're allergic to, like nuts especially. Why have you not sought that treatment?
So in like right before COVID, I went to an allergist and got like my blood tested for something, and then also like the you guys know like the needles that they put in to like test you. And some of the stuff kind of looked like I might be able to try certain nuts, because a lot of tree nuts I actually haven't even had. Like macadamia nuts, I've just never had. I don't even know if I'm allergic to them. And so then COVID kind of started, and they told me that I could come back to like try the nuts like with their safety like precautions and everything. And I'm actually not sure. Like we never actually went back. But it's definitely something I want to look into, because I really want to try a Nutella. So that's probably my main. That's probably my main reason for wanting to do that.
So Eli, we've been friends for a while. So I know you've been you were a vegetarian for what, your whole life?
Yeah.
And so recently, what made you like wanna, take that jump?
I think it's a few things. So one, like I definitely wanted to start eating more protein. Just generally, I was going to the gym more. I was more active in sports and stuff. And people would also tell me that like being vegetarian, you have a lot less energy. So that really made me want to do it. I think I was thinking about it for like a year before I even did, just wanting to, but I would like try a little bit of like chicken or like fish or stuff, and it would be like hard to start getting it into my actual diet. But more recently, I just kind of forced myself to start eating it, even though at first like I did not like chicken at all. I started eating it more and more and just eating it daily, and now I like love it.
You talked about like people said that like when you started eating meat you would have more energy. Have you noticed any like health benefits once you started eating meat, or is it like too soon, do you think? Or? I
mean, okay, I would love to like see myself if I didn't start eating meat now. I think I've definitely like gained a lot of like muscle. Yeah, I think maybe I've had a little bit more energy. But I haven't started eating red meat or stuff, which is also something that people said you have more energy if you do. So.
What was like your main like source of protein before you switched?
Like tofu, beans, like plant protein wherever you can get it.
Any nuts?
Yeah, nuts.
Yeah. Is your like family all vegetarian too? Or just you?
No, it's just me.
What was your motivation for staying vegetarian?
I think there's a lot of things, like being vegetarian is better for the environment, and then also it's healthier, it's easier to be healthy, especially in America with like all this like junk, like fried chicken or different like bad things that are bad for you. It's definitely easier to be healthy, and then also it's hard to make the transition to eating meat, especially when you haven't your whole life.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, like how do you read food labels and how do you like know when you're gonna like eat something?
What do you mean when I know I'm gonna eat something?
Like if it says may contain or like.
Okay. So for food labels, I generally only look at like the allergens list. Like I'll never actually go through like every single ingredient. I'll just go to the allergens list, and if it says anything like about tree nuts, I won't eat it. But if it says like may contain or like made in a facility with, I'll generally eat the thing. I've never had an experience where it said that and I had an allergic reaction. So
What's been your scariest experience with a reaction?
my most serious experience?
Yeah.
There have been some pretty bad experiences. There was one time I was at my grandparents' house. I can't tell you why I did this, but my grandfather forgot I was allergic to nuts, and he like blended walnuts into a banana smoothie or something. Well, I could not tell you why I did that, but I started having like a really bad allergic reaction because I didn't know, and then but after like I was like drinking ice water because your throat gets like really itchy and stuff. Took some Benadryl and I started feeling better, but we were like considering going to the ER.
What do your like reactions look like? Like highs or like?
When I was younger, it was a lot of hives. I remember every allergic reaction I got, I would get terrible hives. But now, whenever I have an allergic reaction, it starts off like, that like tingle in the back of your throat where you know for sure you're about to have an allergic reaction. And then, my throat just gets really itchy and kind of starts like closing up a little bit. And sometimes I throw up, but that's really only when it's like pretty serious.
For some of the younger audience who may not know what hives are, can you describe how hives look like?
It's like bumps. Like they show up. I think it's different for everybody. Mine usually show up on my like arms here or on my shoulders. It's like little bumps that are usually in like clusters, and they're really red and like really really irritated. And they can be like bigger raised bumps rather than just like a small little pimple. And they're like really itchy and sensitive. But yeah, for the hives, they usually last like a couple hours or like they can last like up to a day, but it's different for everybody.
Usually like when I get hives, like actually recently like a couple days ago I just had like a pretty bad. So I don't know what it was, but I got a lot of hives. But I took Benadryl and that usually does the trick. It, like gets it away in like a couple hours.
I wanted to ask you, so you said that you've thrown up and stuff. Do you save your EpiPen for severe reactions, or like why haven't you used it then?
So I used to think that the EpiPen was like really only if you're like about to go to the emergency room, it's like you're literally about to die. But my doctor actually recently told me like it's better if you're having an allergic reaction just to use the EpiPen and not like mess around with like Benadryl or like anything else if your throat's itching and it's like clearly a serious reaction. I think hives are different. Hives you should be using Benadryl. But I learned that recently and I don't think I've had a very serious allergic reaction since then. But yeah, definitely like using the EpiPen right away is good.
So do you know, like, maybe for Eli too, like, if you eat more of like dairy, will you get a worse reaction? And like, have you seen that happen?
Like more at once?
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely creates a worse reaction. I think like if it's even like too much, even when I take lactates, it'll still like have a pretty bad reaction. But yeah, more is always worse.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any like tips for the younger audience who struggle with these allergies?
I would say I talked about this before, but like when going to other countries, I would try to like Google Translate how to ask if something has nuts. Learn like there's very common symbols like that are kind of universal if something has nuts. And then also like always bringing an EpiPen, because you're definitely like better safe than sorry.
And a little
For sure.
side question: are you able to bring the EpiPen through security at an airport?
Yeah, you can.
I think for younger audiences, I think it's important if you're lactose intolerant to not cut out like all dairy or like lactose that you're intaking, to make sure you still have like at least a little bit, maybe each day or every other day, because not doing that is only going to make it a lot worse. So yeah.
Thank you guys for joining us for another podcast. This was
Kids Allergy Network.
See you next time.